Welcome, everyone, to the first episode of our 2026 Olympic break rivalry tour. I'm joined by Coach Ed, and as always, this episode is sponsored by Lucarelli Law. If you're in Florida or New York and you're in a little bit of trouble, please reach out to Dom Lucarelli at Lucarelli Law, and he can give you all the advice you need and help you out. Coach, we're rocking our matching Coach Sullivan Sweat Equity shirts. After that, wow, well, they had to sweat that one out, huh? After Mika, wet hair Mika, speaking of sweat, blasted one past Hellebuck and tied the game late there. What were your thoughts on that one?
I mean, I said it to you guys in the chat. I was watching it. I didn't get to watch until the start of the second, and right before he got that goal, before they pulled the goal, they did like a nice little curl breakout, and he got the pass going through the neutral zone. And I was going to text Mika's going to tie it. I know it, and I didn't. And then a few minutes later, the one hit from his spot, as Uncle Pat would say.
That's it. Well, we'll take your word for it on that one. But yeah, so far the Olympics have been super exciting. Not many upsets, but a lot of close games. Slovakia definitely scares me a little bit. They've had a great tournament so far. What are your thoughts on the rest of the tournament and like how everything's been going?
I mean, I watched all three USA games. I thought they all started off pretty much the same. They felt out the other team and then pretty much dominated after that, I feel. Latvia stuck in there for a few, 10 to 15 minutes, and then it was over. And even Germany, I was scared of Germany. I thought with Draisaitl and Stutzel, I thought they were going to freaking Brady Tkachuk took care of business on that. He hit Draisaitl a couple of times in the first period. And then I didn't see much from that after that from him. Yeah, so I watched those three games. I really haven't gotten a chance to watch Canada. Been running around a little hectic the last week and a half. And the games
The
are on a
start
little
times have
early.
been rough. Start times have
The
been
games
rough.
are on. Yeah, they're on early.
Yeah, the Canada games have all been on early. I don't think they had any 3 o'clock games, if I'm not mistaken, but maybe. But
Who's
yeah,
on
US,
Slovakia that's worrying you? I don't even realize who's Slovakian. So Slovakian.
well, they have Slavkowski, who's having a really good tournament. He's the I guess second year player for the Canadians. He was picked number 1 overall a few years
Right.
ago. He's having an excellent tournament, and they're playing well as a team. I mean, they don't have
Right.
anyone like that's standing out to me. Really, I mean, I don't think I've watched any of their full games, but just seeing their scores and highlights and how they've been playing, they've just been like kind of on a mission. Um, they upset Finland early in the tournament. I know that, so
I
it's
mean,
gonna
I
be
think that's the key to the Olympics is like, of course, in the movie Miracle with Herb Brooks, his whole thing was getting him to be a family as
right.
fast as possible. And the quicker that these guys gel into a team, the more successful they seem to be. So to me, that's more important than having the superstars. And I think the U.S. is displaying that again. I think they're all just going out there on a mission so far, and they're hitting, they're playing hockey. I think pretty good, pretty well.
Yeah, they're definitely coming together. I mean, to me, it seems like they get off to a little bit of a slow start, which we're very used to watching with the Rangers. So hopefully it's not a Coach Sullivan thing. But by the end of the game, especially the second period today, they outshot Sweden 20-8, I think. So that second and third period, I think the third period, they kind of tried to focus a little bit too much on defense. They probably should have just kept attacking. And, Markstrom played a hell of a game. He stood on his head a little bit, so I'm sure the score could have been a little bit heavier in the U.S. favor, but luckily they came out on top, and they're headed to the semifinal game, right, against Slovakia. So we'll
Yep.
see what happens. What about the rest of the Olympics? Anything exciting? What's your favorite sport to watch other than hockey?
I was watching the ski jumping last night.
Isn't
Uh,
that crazy?
I'm telling you, I mean, you've seen the jump in person. I've seen them jump in person. Next year's my goal is to go to the World Cup in Lake Placid. I think the guy told us it's in January. I want to see that live. It's got to be the fans just look so riled up and into it, and it's like Kathy's like, I don't understand how come these other teams are so much better. It's because that's all they do from when they're young. They
They were
don't have
showing
the NHL. They don't have football, the NFL. They don't have the MLB. Our kids grow up to be baseball players, hockey. This is what they do as recreation.
Yeah, did you show the little I mean, did you see the little thing they showed on, like,
Norway.
Norway?
Yeah.
Yeah. The little kids
Amazing.
the jump at like 4 years old. I mean, it's not a
Yeah.
real jump, but still, like,
No, it's a proportionate.
yeah, yeah, that's
It's
crazy.
that's their national sport. Ski
Yeah,
jumping, skiing, cross country skiing. Could you imagine getting our kids on cross country skis? I don't even want to get on cross country
no
skis.
chance. I watched that, man. They're like spitting and like foaming at the mouth when they're done. Those guys are. It's a little boring to watch. I'm not gonna lie. It gets a little old. Like last night, I was like, this is like the sixth one I've seen of this. Like, how much can I actually watch of this? But it's impressive what they do. They just after they finish, they just collapse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we get our special guest on a rivalry, the one story I was watching the other day, I think I told it at Borelli's the other night. I don't know if you heard it, but they had the women's relay ski cross country skiing. So Sweden was the favorite. So the third leg, she comes whipping around this turn, and it had like rained a little bit the night before, so the snow was wet, so they weren't gliding as good. She comes around this turn, loses a balance, goes down, gets up, keeps going, comes around another turn. She literally does a forward roll. Ski goes flying, breaks the binding. She's hopping to get her other ski, probably 50 yards ahead. It wasn't right there. The bindings broke. She looks back. The coach comes running over to give her a new ski. He goes flying over.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But they end up coming still in second. That's how, committed these other countries, the Scandinavian countries are. It's really amazing.
Yeah, without hockey, I mean, I always tune in, but this Olympics, we have it on like pretty much around the clock at home and in the hotel while I'm on the road. I've been watching it nonstop, and I've been able to learn a lot about it. I had no idea like they get penalized if they missed a shot. I thought they just sat there until they got it. Like
that's what I thought. Yeah,
they have like 3 extra shots like in their pouch that they could use, but then if they use all those, they have to like do a lap to like get a shot back.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So like that's why they're just like going in circles. I mean, it might just be one specific race or whatever that they do that, but me and Lindsay were watching that the other night. I was like, wait, they have to like do a lap just to get a bullet. That was pretty
like
crazy.
a video game, you get more power, right?
When exactly. Something. You have to like go find one yourself.
The guy that I'm really watching is what I love is because back in 1980, again, Eric Heiden won the 5 speed skating gold medals, and this kid Stoll, his name is. It's not Stoll like Mark Stoll. It's Stolloil or something. He's from Wisconsin. 19 years old. He's got 2 gold medals already, and supposedly he's a favorite to win the 3. Plus the team relays will be if he can get the 5. So that's going to be exciting.
Yeah. My sport, I guess, has to be curling. That might be a little cliche, but I think you could back me up that I've always kind of watched that even as a kid.
Yeah, we always did. Yeah.
So I'm a little obsessed with that. The pairs that won the silver, me and Lindsay were very into that. That was super cool. The first medal that the United States has gotten, I think, in curling, or at least in the pairs. So that was really cool. And she was the first woman to get a medal for USA. So maybe that's what it was. First woman.
It was probably mixed pair. It was probably mixed pairs.
Yeah. So while we were sitting on the couch, I was like, I wonder if there's just like curling center in Long Island. You never know. Like, because we've always thought like, oh, it's just in like Lake Placid and stuff. So I Google it, and there's one in Syosset, and they have learn to curl programs.
Get out of here.
I'm sitting there. I look at Lindsay. I look at my phone. I look back over. And she's like, "What are you doing?" And I just like click it. I was like, "I just signed us up for curling lessons."
I'd love to do that.
Yeah. So
where is it?
It's in Syosset somewhere. I'd have to look up the exact ad. I don't think it's at the rink. It's not at Iceworks. Definitely not at Iceworks. It's like a little rink somewhere else. It's in a bubble.
That's probably the hub.
Yeah, I'll show it to you after. I'm actually on a wait list because obviously it's very popular right now. So everyone probably signed up. So we'll see if we get in, but I just want to try it. I just want to throw a stone and see what it's like, But anyway, so you mentioned Borelli's before. We had a great event with Hockey Night in New York. I was a guest on their show, their live show. Cal Clutterbuck was there, and the place was packed. It was for the men's game against who the hell did they play? Germany. And the place was just packed. Was not expecting that. You couldn't even move in there. We had nice bar seats thanks to Mark at Blue Line Blue Shirts. He's backstage helping us out as always. He got there super early and got his bar seats. Otherwise, I would have been the most anxious person in the world if I didn't have a place to sit waiting for the show to start and waiting for the game to start. I am not one for packed bars nowadays, that's for sure. But yeah, it was super fun. And shout out to Sean at Hockey Night in New York. And that brings us into the Rivalry Tour. So before the season, for new listeners, we do like a 4 or 5 episode series leading up to the season with fellow podcasters and writers covering other teams around the Metro. And we decided to do a mid-season one with this nice Olympic break to kind of catch up with everyone and see where the teams are at. So if you're a new listener, welcome. It's kind of a fun thing we do. I hope you enjoy it. And I guess we'll get started. So we are happy to welcome back a very special guest for the 4th time. You can find her on X at SG Nolan and read her articles covering the Flyers on the Hockey News. Please welcome Siobhan Nolan. What's up, Siobhan?
You're on mute, hon.
Oh,
God.
Sorry.
Anyway,
that might have been me.
Not me being
All
on
good.
mute. Take two.
So while we're talking about curling, I remember, I forget the rink.
I
think
hear
it's
either. Wait.
Oh, no worries. Take your time.
I can
How
hear
about now?
you, but I can't hear.
Coach?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
God.
Let me remove you quick and I'll bring you back.
Okay.
How about now?
How about now?
No, I don't think so.
I don't know how to fix that.
All right, so go ahead, Ed. You go.
It's always something.
Ask her about the curling center that was down in I think Newark, Delaware. It's a Flyers skate zone. They had one separate building for curling.
He's asking about the Flyers skate zone down in Delaware. They have a separate building for curling. Have you been there or seen anything like that?
I didn't know that they had that. I haven't been
Yeah,
there.
I remember.
No. Maybe I'll start doing
being
some
there on a
curling
tournament.
lessons. That sounds fun. We
Yeah.
can like compete. We can play each other. That'll be good.
I think we're gonna have to figure out this audio because I am not playing Messenger all episode. Or at
We'll
least
do like
this,
cue cards.
yeah, this segment. So Coach, can you jump out real quick and maybe come back? I don't know. So Siobhan, I mean, obviously we were just talking about the Olympics. I was actually surprised to see. I mean, not a dig on the Flyers. I just didn't really realize, I guess, how many guys they had in the Olympics. So does anyone stand out to you? Have you been watching the tournament? Have you been catching all the games, or what's going on with that?
Yeah, I've been keeping up with the games. I think the Flyer that has stood out to me the most, mainly because he's played the most, is Rasmus Ristolainen, who's with Finland right now, and they're through to the semifinals, and they're playing Travis Sanheim and Rick Tocchet in Canada. So that'll be a really interesting matchup. It's interesting though because we have Ristolainen with Finland. We have Travis Sanheim with Canada, who he missed the first game, but he's played the last 3. Hasn't had a whole lot of minutes with Canada, which is kind of interesting considering like Travis Sanheim gets like the really heavy minutes when he's with the Flyers. He's doing like 24, 25 minutes a night. And then in the game that they played against Czechia today, he had like less than 10. So that's been interesting. And then Dan Vladar, one of our goaltenders who's with Czechia, who unfortunately, got eliminated today, he only started 1 game. He backed up the other ones, but he only started the 1 game. So we didn't get to see a lot of him either. So it's interesting to see how the Flyers have been used across the Olympics. And, Ristolainen's kind of been the guy that's really done the most because he's had the most chances to do a lot.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess just Canada is just so deep with the defense. I saw that he was or I guess he was the 7th D. And I saw a comment he made I'll fill the water bottles. I don't care. I just want to be there, So yeah, Canada's so deep. But I saw he had a chance to play with Drew Doughty a bit last game. Czechia, I think.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So listen, I mean, if he made it the team this year, by next whatever Olympics, Drew Doughty's not going to be around, or maybe even the World Cup in 2 years, So there's going to be a turnover. I was thinking about that with USA and Adam Fox today. There's no chance. It's going to be real hard for him to crack that lineup, So things like that. Coach, do we have you back?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Yay.
Awesome. All right, we're back. We're good.
Love
Well, I
it.
think the big thing with that is, I mean, I like they interviewed Trocheck and a few other guys I've seen in the Olympics. That's what it's about. If you're going to have that selfish attitude, me and Eddie were talking about it. I don't know if you heard us before you came on, but it's about being the camaraderie of a team. Those are the successful teams in the Olympics. Not that any of them aren't, but I'm just saying that's how it's got to be. And most of these guys, when you bring 20 superstars, not everybody can get 20 minutes.
Right.
You know, so that it's as a coach, me, I would love to be able to play 6D and just roll 6D. I mean, that's a luxury. It just becomes a machine. So that's what they have to get used to when they're like, what say Quinn Hughes, he plays 22 minutes a game. Now he might be playing 17, 18, which is still a lot, but you know, he wants it all the time. I don't know if you saw today's game. He was like, I'm good, coach, I'm good. And then he ends up scoring the goal. He goes, I'm good for another shift.
28 minutes, yeah. So you mentioned Sanheim. Is Tocchet focusing more on the defensive side of the bench or on the offensive side of the bench?
I believe he would be more offense. I don't know the specific role that he's taking as an assistant coach, but if I had to guess, it'd probably be more offense, but I don't know for sure what job they have him doing there.
Yeah, at that level, I mean, it doesn't really matter, I guess, right? I mean, Tortorella, I think, was coaching. No, he was on the offensive side of the bench today. Quinn, I guess, is more defensive specializing. But yeah, like you heard before, we haven't really got a chance to watch the Canada game, so I didn't even like notice where they were standing on the bench or anything like that. So yeah, I mean, I guess anything else you wanted to talk about the Olympics, Coach, before we moved on, or Siobhan, anything else you want to mention about any of your guys?
What do you think about Torch being on the bench?
I mean,
you know he's my favorite.
Him
and Sully.
Yeah.
No, I love Tort still. I love Tocchet too. So, I just love any sort of former flyer representation at the Olympics. Even guys that, haven't been with the team for years, like, Radko Gudas, like, he's with Czechia, and, every time I hear his name, I'm like, oh, Gudas, I remember him. So yeah, that's always fun to see.
Yeah, you get a little too emotionally attached as a fan and a media person. It's hard to balance the two, especially. I mean, you're actually in the professional world. We're just doing this podcast, but it's even hard for us sometimes. Yeah. I mean, watching the game today, like I said, with Fox and stuff, you love him. You want him to make the team, but I'm like, he cannot skate with these guys. It's going to be real hard. It's going to be real hard. So anyway, you mentioned before we started the show that you've been back at practice with the Flyers. So yeah, you spoke about Tocchet. I mean, I wanted to address or at least mention the Michkov situation. So what are your thoughts on that? I mean, for the fans that don't know or maybe not have heard, I guess Tocchet isn't really giving him the minutes that the fan base expects him to get or thinks he deserves. And the biggest thing was that Tocchet thought he came into camp out of shape. Is that true? Were you around for these comments? Like, can you touch on that at all? Yeah.
So the big thing was that Michkov came into camp out of shape. Tocchet said it. Michkov admitted it himself. He said that he went back to Russia for a little bit and he was training there and he got an ankle injury and that kind of hindered how he trained. And, he took full accountability. He was like, I didn't come to camp in the shape that I needed to be in. I'm working to get back to that. It kind of spiraled into this whole thing about like, oh, Michkov's fat and Michkov like can't, skate with guys. And it got into all like the nasty social media, craziness. And the interesting thing with Michkov and his minutes is that, and I don't fault Flyers fans for this, but when it comes to Michkov, like they want him to be the focal point of everything. They want him to be the focus of the offense and, they want everything to run through him, which I get. But you have to take into account that this year he has been in a little bit of a slump. And some people would argue, well, he can't get out of the slump if you don't give him minutes. But then it's like, okay, if he doesn't earn the minutes because he's slumping, like it's a weird, like, how do you manage trying to get him out of that? But it's more from what I can gather, Tocchet wants him to earn the minutes a little bit more, wants him to work a little harder, wants him to, not that he's not bought into the team game because he's a great teammate. His teammates love him, but I think Tocchet wants him to adjust his game a little more to how he wants the Flyers to play. And then, he'll start affording him some more minutes. But right now it's just kind of finding that balance of Michkov wants to play the game a certain way, Tocchet wants to play the game a certain way, and it's just kind of balancing those personalities to come to a happy medium so that everyone can get along.
I think that's something that I've always said about Panarin. I don't know what the frustration is. I don't want to label all the Russian players like that because they're not all like that, but it seems to be somewhat of a common theme. But didn't Torts have a little problem with him in the beginning too?
Yeah, it's the
As
whole
far as him adjusting, I'm sorry to interrupt. As far as him
Yeah.
adjusting and sacrificing a little of his a skill.
Yeah, with Torts, it kind of sounded like, we know Torts likes to play the game a certain way as well, but Torts was a little more understanding of the fact that this is Michkov's first year. He's still adjusting to the league in North America and everything. And so he was very adamant about keeping things behind closed doors and being like, okay, he's still 19, 20 years old. He's still a kid. Like, we're working with him. Leave it at that. Tocchet's been a little more forthcoming and a little more honest and willing to talk about it and say, like, he didn't come to camp in good shape. He's been late for treatments and things like that. Like, Tocchet has said that stuff on the record, and he has had no problem being like, this is what's going on and this is my issue with it. So it's almost weird that Torts was the one that was kind of keeping his mouth shut a little bit more, and Tocchet's the one that's sharing a little bit more. And
because I thought Tocchet was brought in to be more understanding and more of a millennial coach.
Yeah, but a lot of people are drawing comparisons with this situation and then Tocchet's situation with Elias Pettersson back in Vancouver and saying that this is just a repeat of that. And, it really depends what side you're on, whose side you want to take. Like, some people think Tocchet's in the right. Some people think, Michkov deserves more sympathy and more understanding from Tocchet. So it's a very divisive situation, and people understandably have a lot of opinions on it. So
can you give us any insight as to what he's not doing that Tocchet wants him to do? What style that he's not doing? What he's not buying into?
Yeah, it sounds like from what we've gotten, his defensive work still needs, to be worked on. And Michkov's never been known for being a super defensive guy, but the way Tocchet wants to play, he has to be able to have a little bit more of that defensive responsibility, a little more selflessness with the puck. Just being able to gel with line mates more, because Michkov is a very singular player, and he's so creative and he's so flashy, and he likes to make the big plays, and he likes to try and see the passes that no one else sees. And now that he has Trevor Zegras and players like that to work with, it's a little easier, but he hasn't really found a line that he can balance out really well. Even when you play him with Trevor Zegras, sometimes that's a little bit too much flash, and then you have to find a center that can anchor them well. So that's also been kind of an issue, is that he hasn't found a solid line that they can keep him on and have him be consistent on.
That's why I was a little surprised they got Trevor Zegras, to be honest with you, because he's not known for his 200-foot game. And to have them both on the same line, I mean, as a coach, Tocchet's got to be very frustrated at certain points of the game, I'm sure. I heard a nice interview with Rick Nash, and he said the big problem with these young kids coming up with all this skill, because the equipment's so much better, they know how to shoot, they know how to do, that they're not buying into the NHL level. So when they come into that NHL level where you have to sometimes dump and chase and chip it in and go in hard, they're not buying into that. So that he's trying to recruit guys for Columbus or scout guys that have that attitude where they will buy in, and they are starting to do that at the AHL level, the high level juniors. And that's what he's looking for as a scout.
Yeah, and
the
it's
skill mixed in with that adaptability, which is what I've been arguing about for years.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because there's a video of Michkov, and I think it's from some sort of like Russian YouTube channel, where he was kind
Some
of going
sort
through
of Russian YouTube channel.
some like Russian social media platform. I don't know if they get YouTube.
That's scary.
But there is a video of him, and he's kind of going through his game and how he likes to play, and he was explicitly being like, I don't like dump and chase hockey. I don't like it. I don't think it's the right way to play the game. Like there is video of him saying that. So a lot of people saw that when it came out and were like, how is it gonna work with Tocchet now that he said this? So and with Tocchett's a big like accountability guy, and he believes that, there are ways that you have to be a professional off the ice as well that, factors into your game. So a big thing that he's brought up is being on time for treatments and things like that, and going through video, and, even just coming to the coaches when, you have a question or you have something you want to work on, and establishing that communication. Because Tocchett's a big player relationship guy. He's like, I want to get to know these guys on a human level. I want to know their personalities. Like, I want them to feel comfortable talking with me. So I think all of that factors into, Tocchett's assessment as well. It's not just this is what you're doing on the ice. He also puts a lot of importance on how you're conducting yourself off the ice as well.
Well, all those little things. I don't know, Ed, did you want to say something?
No, you're on a roll. Go ahead.
All those
You're
little
the
things
coach.
all those little things that Tocchett's talking about lead to success on the ice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like we always talk about in your career outside. How good would your career be, Siobhan, if you go to the practices 10 minutes late?
Yeah,
Are they going
exactly.
to hold, are they going to be like, oh, here she comes again? What do I got to talk to? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
all these little things in your career mean a lot. And,
Mm-hmm.
you especially as a young kid coming in, I mean, he should be thankful that he's getting that chance and go overboard to show I'll be there on time. I'll do until you're established making $10 million a year, like let's say Panarin. Then you could slack off a little bit, say I have a no trade clause, I could do what I want. But this kid's still fighting for his NHL career.
Yeah. And with Michkov, the fan base doesn't always help too, because they're still very much in that mentality of he's the savior, and because he's going to save the franchise and lead us back into the postseason, you got to just give him what he wants. And they coddle him a little bit. And I understand being excited about Michkov. I understand you want him to get a good chance to show what he can do, but the lack of holding Michkov accountable from the fan base, to me, is not a good look, because it's like, I understand that you like the kid and you want him to be great and you don't want his development to be stunted, but you also have to, be realistic about what's in front of you and admit that he's not having the best second season, and that's okay. There's, things that you can do about it, but it's not everybody's fault but Michkov's. Like, you have to put some of that responsibility on the player as well, and not just say, well, Tocchet sucks and he has a vendetta against him. Like, you have to be able to spread the blame around very evenly,
Yeah, it's like, it's taking care of the whole team. It's not just one guy. You have to set an example. It's a difficult situation for a coach these days, especially because you can't get away with as much, and you have to, all the scrutiny and the media and the Instagram and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's difficult.
Well, I think that's also why they're going in this direction, like what you just said about Rick Nash. And actually, TJ Oshie said something very similar on Spit and Chicklets last week, is that like these kids are coming in so skilled, but they lack the hockey IQ, taking a hit, giving a hit, whatever, putting themselves in the right position to succeed in general, all those things. So like if you find the kid with the right attitude early, then you don't have to deal with all the drama now and trying to figure it out down the line. Like everyone has there's so many kids with the talent, coach, you say it all the time. So what separates them is like what's upstairs. Like there's a million other Michkovs out there. Hate to break it to you, Flyers fans, but he's not the savior. I mean, there's another guy that they could find that has the right attitude or whatever. And I'm sure that's driving Tocchet crazy.
Oh yeah. Cause Tocchet, he's a big believer in, every guy has to buy in. If we're going to make this rebuild successful, you can't just rely on one person to make the team successful. You can't just rely on the goalie to bail you out in a game. You can't rely on just the defensemen. They need goal support. Like, everyone's got to work together to make the team successful. And the thing that really sets Tocchet apart is the fact that Tocchet was a Flyer. Tocchet is a legendary flyer. He's played in the city. He knows what that pressure feels like. He knows firsthand what it's like to be in these guys' positions. So it's interesting to me that a lot of fans are turning on him so quick, because it's like, yeah, January was kind of a terrible month for the Flyers, and they lost a lot of ground on the postseason quest. But here's a guy that is so revered as a player and embodies a lot of what people think Flyers players should be. And he knows better than most coaches would. But, he tries to hold Michkov accountable, and all of a sudden he's public enemy number one. And people are like, you got to fire him after the season. It's like, that's crazy to me, because one, I don't think that they would fire Tocchet after one season unless
Did he
something
sign a
really
5-year
terrible
deal?
happens. Yeah, like I've seen people
4 or 5 year deal.
Yeah, but I've seen people say they should fire him after the season's over,
Oh,
which
no,
to me
I've
is
seen
like
it.
ridiculous.
I've seen it too, trust me.
Yeah. So that's so interesting to me, though, because like you have this guy that really understands what these players are feeling and thinking and going through. Like, it's not exactly the same as when Tocchet was a player, but it's the DNA of it is still very similar. The fan base is still very similar. So it's like you have this guy that knows what it takes to be a successful player in this city, and he starts trying to apply that to these guys. And because he's not doing it the way that you think he should, then it's an issue. Like,
it's a matter of being committed to win a championship or just being committed to play in the NHL and earn a very good salary. And that's got to be that's where you have to differentiate. I go back to 1979 when the Rangers made the finals with Duguay. They had about 9 not rookies, but very young players in the league. And Esposito went to the general manager and coach and said, these guys are partying too much. They beat Montreal game 1. We got to settle them down. And they ignored Esposito, and they lost the next 4. You have to buy into that. You have to have there's got to be that off-ice commitment where you're not partying every night, because 99 out of 100 guys in the league aren't. They're committed to physical, getting in shape and playing, and these are the teams that succeed. Look at Pittsburgh, which we'll go into later, with Sidney Crosby. You think he's going to allow a guy on the team not to buy in? He's going to go right to the coach and say, this guy's not doing it, or he's going to go to the player first. Whatever the case is, he's going to let them know this is how you do it. It's hard. And for a guy like Tocchet, who was a very good player, but he wasn't Guy Lafleur. He had to earn everything he did. He was a fighter, a scorer, a hard-nosed player, and he had to earn everything for his career. And these guys have it too easy, so he probably gets a little frustrated they don't appreciate it and put in the effort.
Yeah,
definitely. Must be terribly hard for him to put up with something like that. But
again, that's why I'm surprised they got Zegras. I'm just shocked. I'm sorry. I just shocked.
And Zegras is such an interesting case, though, because Zegras is very aware of what people say about him and what people think about him. And Tocchet was very aware of it too. But Tocchet's really gone out of his way to be like, Zegras doesn't want to be a social media star. He wants to be a good hockey player. He wants to bear down and do the work and watch the video. Tocchet's like, he's always texting me about like watching video and doing all this stuff. So it sounds like they have a really good relationship, which I do think would be surprising to most people, because, Tocchet is like, yeah, I know he's like the Instagram kid and he does the Michigans and the highlight reel stuff, but since he got to Philadelphia, he's been really committed to like just being, I think he said something like, I don't want to be like a guy that's good at hockey. I want to be a good hockey player, like something to that effect. So I thought it was interesting.
How is his game? Is it improving as far as defensively? Have you noticed that? Or
yeah, I think he's made for Zegras or Michkov.
Zegras.
Yeah, for Zegras, I think he's really improved across all areas of his game since arriving here. Like he looks so comfortable. He looks so in tune with guys. I think he's the kind of guy that makes the other players around him better. He's a great personality in the locker room, obviously. Like who you see Trevor Zegras as like on camera is exactly who he is off camera. So he's great to be around there, but you can tell that he loves playing here and he wants to get better, and he knows that he's not exactly where he wants to be just yet, but he's on a really good path to get there for sure.
Well, that's good to hear. I like to see that. He's a USA kid, right?
From New York. He's from New York.
Yeah, I'm sure Taka just appreciates him wanting to get better, even if
Yeah.
he's not progressing at the speed
Mhm.
necessarily they all want. At least he's putting in the effort.
Yeah, for sure.
What was I going to say about Zegras? I forget now.
Sorry.
It's okay. Oh man, I had a great segue, but I forgot now. But Siobhan, you mentioned, or I guess when we had you on the first rivalry tour before the season, you thought that the Flyers were going to be more of like a bubble team,
Mhm.
right? Kind of maybe pushing for a playoff push. So I guess it's safe to say you're a little surprised at how things are turning out so far. I mean, do you think they still have a chance to turn things around for the second half of the season, or do you think it's kind of just like see what kind of draft pick they're going to get and look forward to next year type of thing?
Yeah, it sucks because January was just such a bad month for them. Like, it really just every time they had a chance to right the ship and get back to where they wanted to be in the Metro, they slipped. And I think, there's still I think there's like 26 games left in the season, something like that. I don't think it's impossible, but I'm not getting my hopes up too much. I know it's still a tight race and they could, lock in and really get the points that they need. But I think if they hadn't had that bad, like, whole month of January, this would be a different conversation. But because, like, the whole month was just like, frustration after frustration, I don't think it put them in a very good position. And, maybe this time off is going to do them well and they can come back refreshed and come back better. Or maybe it can kind of interrupt their momentum and they're slow to get back to it. So with the Flyers, it can kind of go either way, but I'm not, yeah, I'm not getting my hopes up too much about a postseason run, to be honest.
So then where do you think they go from here? Do you think they're going to be sellers at the deadline? I mean, do you think there's ever a possibility of them moving on from Michkov, or they're not going to give up on him yet?
No, I mean, Danny Briere held a little impromptu press conference when, the whole when Pocket first made, some comments, and Danny Briere was very explicit in saying, "We're not trading Michkov. He's not going anywhere. We're holding on to him. We made a commitment to him. We're honoring that." Um, I don't know if they're going to be big sellers. I've heard that the only player that they've received really significant interest in and have had some calls on is Ristolainen, and his name's always in the trade conversation. So who knows if anything's actually going to get done. But yeah, I don't know if they're going to be big sellers. I just think that they have a lot of cap space that they can play around with, and who knows what Danny Briere has up his sleeve. But as far as I know, Ristolainen's the only guy that's gotten like significant interest from other teams.
Right.
Were you at that press conference?
I was. It was right before one of the last games before the Olympic break. Like, we're just sitting in the press box and we're, getting ready for warm-ups and whatever, and we get a text from Flyers PR and it's like, "By the way, Danny's going to be talking at like 6:45 or whatever it was." And we were like, "Okay, here we go." And
Oh
he
boy.
just like he comes out of the like executive suite in the press box and we're all just like crowded around him, and he's just, he made a whole statement before we even asked him questions about, everything that had happened. So it seemed a little last minute, but we were just like, all right, rip the Band-Aid off. Let's just talk about it.
He probably didn't want to give you guys a chance to come up with these questions and stuff. So he shoots from the
Exactly.
hip. That's
Hey,
what I was
catching
going to
us off
ask you
guard.
next is
Yeah.
how do you find out about it? That's what I was going to ask you. You answered that question.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
yeah,
That's
when it's
very
planned
cool.
like that, they'll usually give us a little bit of a heads up, and we figured that Danny might say something about it at some point, but like right before a game, it's like, "By the way, he's going to give this press conference." And we're like, "Okay." So, yeah.
What are the practices like without Tocchet there, and I guess without like the top guys around? Ristolainen, I'm sure, has a leadership role.
Mhm.
What's like the vibes like without those type of guys around? Is Zegras stepping up and like being a little bit more vocal and things like that?
Zegers is always vocal.
Well,
He's one of those guys that you can hear him on the rink. Like, we're kind of up on more of a balcony level, but you can always hear him when he's saying something. But it's actually been pretty I don't know if laid back is the right word, because they are working hard and they're doing a lot of conditioning, but they were doing some like mini mite drills at like the first practice, like little stuff like that to just kind of get their legs back under them. Travis Konechny was saying that because they have this like basically whole week of practices, they're just going to get their conditioning back up and get themselves back on track, because they had so little practice time before the Olympic break. So now that they have this whole week to just, get back into it, that's going to be a big help. The assistant coaches are running things, Couturier and Konechny, who are both in the leadership group. They're there. We've called up a couple of guys from Lehigh. We've called up 2 defensemen and a goalie to replace Vladar and Sanheim and Ristolainen. So it's been pretty, they're still very much easing back into things, but they've been doing a lot of conditioning. They were doing the Herbies today at the end of practice, which was great. But yeah, no, they're definitely working hard. It's a lot of conditioning. It's a lot of, like skating drills and a lot of, checking drills, things like that. So we'll see what the rest of the week brings, but that's kind of what the focus has been so far.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm curious they might have like more of like, it's kind of like a syllabus, like maybe like Monday, Tuesday conditioning and things, and then they might hone in on the skills again towards the end of the week.
Yeah.
Coach, what were you gonna say?
I'm sure a lot of people think like they always talk about like in preseason they got to get up to game speed, but I think also like when you don't have a chance to have a practice on not a regular basis, but that often, there's also drills they got to do, the flow drills and like you said, the hitting drills, the angling drills that let those things happen in a game, to create habits. And when you don't have that on a regular basis, it's hard to get a coordination of a game situation. So maybe it will help.
And this season's been, like she mentioned, so crammed with games. There's not been a lot of practice time.
That's what I'm saying. So it could be having the reverse effect. I mean, it's happening to quite a few teams, Rangers, Devils, it's included. So
yeah. Well, what are your thoughts on I guess the Rangers situation? I mean, we're surprised obviously over here. Are you as surprised as we are, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah,
are you happy?
Well, and I was going to say, you think it's crazy that Flyers fans are calling for Tockett's job?
Yeah.
You think Rangers fans are sane and not calling for Sullivan's job, Team USA's coach?
Yeah, absolutely. No one can be normal in situations like these. So I feel for you guys there. The fan in me is enjoying this very much right now. But I gotta say, I am surprised. I really didn't think it was gonna be like that, especially like the home record too and everything. Like that was crazy to me.
The start.
Yeah. That was like, I saw some of the numbers about just how bad they were at home, and I was like, that's crazy to me. Like I could not fathom that.
Well, they're playing I think it's the 26th or the 28th.
I'll be there. I'll be there. Yeah.
Nice.
I love going up to MSG for those games. Like I don't travel a whole lot, but I'll definitely make time to go up to New York for those games.
Nice.
Well, our seats are up by the press level. You gotta come over to the edge and say hello.
Yeah.
Definitely.
We're on the bridge.
Yeah.
So Siobhan, I think that pretty much wraps it up for this. I mentioned before that our fans can find you on X at SG Nolan and the hockey news. Is there anything else exciting or new that you want to plug? Any good articles that you've written in the recent past?
I mean, I haven't had a whole lot to write about or be super extensive on. It's really cool though. Chris Pronger is coming out with a memoir in April, and I'm going to be interviewing him about that pretty soon. So the childhood fan in me is like very excited about that. So that's something to look out for sure. That's
just a one-on-one?
That's probably the big one. Yeah. It's going to be.
And that'll be in the hockey news.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice.
Good for you. Well, I guess all the fans are kind of calling for Pronger to take over Briere's job or Tockett's job or whatever.
Yeah, somebody's job.
He's been great though. He's been buzzing around a lot of media, and the way he talks and the way he understands the game, it's phenomenal. He thinks, I thought it was very interesting. Maybe you could talk to him about this. He thinks there's only like 5 or 6 true number 1 defensemen in the league.
Interesting.
Yeah. He said that on Chicklets. He's like, to be a true number 1 defenseman, you have to be able to play every situation, penalty kill, power play, top line minutes, you name it. So I thought that was very interesting. He said there's only
Did
like
he
five.
name the guys?
He said like Cale McCarr. I mean, the top names, of course, Quinn Hughes, like those. He's like, Quinn Hughes doesn't kill penalties, but I know he can. But like something that you said, a coach, also, you have to like manage the load in a way. You can't play 27 minutes and penalty kill up. Maybe at the Olympics is a different story, but not all season.
Right. 82 games is tough.
He was talking about that. He said, yeah, certain guys you might not think they can kill penalties, but I promise you they can. They're just not doing it for their team. But yeah, he named a few guys, Cale McCarr, Jacob Slavin, like a few guys like that. So I thought that was really interesting.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Trust his opinion on that, definitely.
I do. Yeah, I do too. The way he articulates, I'm surprised he was away from the game for so long. I think he's going to bring a lot to the table. Hopefully he gets like a consistent job somewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe not even in management, maybe just in media, because like I said, like the way he talks and the way he can like teach the fans is on a different level, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Siobhan, thank you so much for your 4th appearance on the Rivalry Tour. For sure. We'd love to have you back maybe after the season or definitely over the summer again.
Absolutely.
And, you definitely have to come say hi, or we'll come say hi to you at the Garden on the 26th.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good night. Thank you.
You too.
As always, great insight from Siobhan. Behind the scenes, a lot of cool interviews, and I'm definitely going to keep an eye out for that Chris Pronger interview for sure. So good for her. That's really exciting stuff that she was able to do that. Like she said, I'm sure the little kid inside of her is screaming. Pronger was probably a big part of her childhood and rooting for the Flyers. So that's very cool.
That's got to be like a lot of. I'm sorry. That's got to be a lot of pressure on her to make sure she's got all the questions in line. You know, it's not like it. I mean, coming on our show is one thing, you know, but imagine having like Chris Pronger, like a Flyers legend.
Yeah,
coming
on. I mean, I briefed her a little bit before the episode what we were going to ask her and everything, but like even like the one in the summer, we asked her about like Tockett's system and stuff, and she just didn't skip a beat. Like she just, she's
sharp.
Yeah, she's got her hand on the pulse, her finger on the pulse, or whatever that saying is of the Flyers, and she definitely knows her stuff. So go check her out on X at SG Nolan again. And what was it? The Hockey News, of course, covering the Flyers and writing some good articles. And keep an eye out for that Chris Pronger one. All right, we were going to do Coach's Corner to split up the two guests, but we see that Hunter is backstage, so we're just going to bring him on. Hunter is a new guest to the show. Our usual Penguins representative, Nick Belsky from Tip of the Iceberg, couldn't make it. So we're happy to have Hunter from Locked On Penguins podcast. So let's bring him on.
How you doing?
What's up, man? Good to meet you.
Good to meet you. Nick's a good buddy of mine. I'm glad you guys
awesome.
have him on the show. He's a really nice guy. So
yeah, he definitely has mentioned you guys or mentioned your show in the past, and he said that you guys have done some stuff together or worked together or whatever. So that's great. So I'm glad we're all in good company, and he's not going to be too upset that we replaced him with somebody else. But we'd love to have all you guys on the next one, and maybe we could just do a round table for sure.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Yeah. So before we get into it, why don't you just tell all our fans like where they could find you and when you guys do your show and all that good stuff.
We actually just finished recording 20 minutes ago. We waited for the USA Sweden game, and I was able to edit pretty quickly, get that up. We just wanted to wait for Carlson and Raquel to play, but we record Monday through Friday every day for the Locked On Penguins podcast. News, signings, free agency, trades, game recaps, game previews, draft stuff, everything related to the Penguins. You can find it on our show. I also do stuff for the Hockey News Penguins site alongside my co-editor, Kelsey Cermax, who is a really good colleague, great friend too. You can find me on Twitter at Hunter Hodes, and the show is also on there at LO_Penguins, and we're also on Blue Sky, Instagram, all those places.
Awesome, man. You said every day?
Yeah, every weekday, that is. No weekends, thankfully.
Yeah, either way, I mean, that's a lot. I mean, you guys, you find stuff to talk about every single day, I guess. I mean, we find it challenging just to record once a week, so I got to tip my cap to you.
Yeah, during the season, like it's a bit easier, but once you get to like the off season, like even like when you miss the playoffs, it starts getting a bit tougher. But thankfully, it does go down to 3 shows a week, like, you know, after free agency until training camp, which is nice.
Nice. All right. So before we get into it, I just asked Siobhan about the Olympics. I mean, what are your thoughts so far on the tournament in general? And then I want you to touch on some of the Penguins that are there or playing over there.
Yeah, I know it's crazy that it's been 12 years since we last got this. I'm
Wow, right?
loving this. I thought today was an instant classic of games. Finland coming back from 2 goals down with 6 minutes left was awesome. The Canada-Czechia game, Czechia just gave Canada everything it could handle and almost beat them until Nick Suzuki had his own moment. And then Mitch Marner goes 1-on-3. Not much you can do there. I'm sure the fine folks of Toronto had a very fun reaction to that goal. Obviously, everyone here in Pittsburgh is holding their breath regarding Sidney Crosby, just how special this season has been. Just don't want the worst to happen with all that, but just hoping that it's not too serious because this team is very much in contention to make the playoffs this year, which I still can't believe I'm saying going into March. But,
Yeah, we'll get into that for sure.
Yeah, of course. The USA game was a nail biter as always. I know this is a Rangers-centric show. I hated that Mike Sullivan put JT Miller and Vince Trocheck on the ice at the end of the game there. Just no reason to do it, in my opinion. I'm also someone that thinks Jason Robertson and Cole Caulfield should very much be there. But thankfully, Quinn Hughes was able to save both Bill Guerin and Mike Sullivan in this game, in my opinion, just the way that he played basically that entire overtime. There's a reason, at least for me, why he is arguably the best defenseman on the planet. And you saw that on display throughout that overtime. Just a really big win. Now you have to go up against Slovakia, and that's not going to be an easy game. They're a very cohesive team. They do everything really well. They're not flashy with the way they play, but everyone knows their assignments. Everyone knows exactly where they're going to be. They do a great job reading off one another. That's going to be a really good game, as will Canada, Finland. I think when Finland plays its A game, they're going to give Canada a really good fight as well. I still think we're going to get Canada, US in the final, like we saw the Four Nations, but just a great day of Olympic hockey. And I just think this tournament as well has also been fantastic. I'm having so much fun watching these games.
Yeah, it's been truly incredible. Coach, were you about to say something?
Yeah, interesting you should say that about Trocheck. I believe he won 3 out of 4 faceoffs in overtime, but we don't have to go over that. You would say the same thing if he was still on Carolina and Miller was on Vancouver. I'd be curious to know your opinion on that also. I mean, our big thing is, and a lot of Ranger fans that I only have a few people that I know. I'm not on Instagram listening all the time, but JT Miller's flying out there. I don't know if you're not watching that, but compared to the way he's playing during the regular season, we watch him every day. He's playing very hard and he's competing a lot different than the regular season. So I don't know what happened to his mysterious injury, but I think he's playing well. But anyway, yeah, it is very exciting. I'm a big USA person ever since Miracle in 1980 as a kid, and I just love the Olympics in general, and the hockey to me is the best. So it is exciting to see this kind of a tournament, and hopefully the U.S. can at least get to the finals and make it very interesting.
Yeah, Hunter, that's actually was going to be our coach's corner. So every episode we do like kind of just like in and outs of the game. Coach sometimes whips out the whiteboard. So that's actually going to be our subject on Coach's Corner after you get out of here, is like building the proper team. And I understand your thoughts on like Cole Caulfield, Jason Robertson. I do think that they might be missing one or two, especially like if you're going to have Kyle Connor sitting on the bench or not even playing or not even dressing. I don't know. They're missing someone that could score and also be a little bit more gritty, I think. And maybe that's Jason Robertson, maybe not. But to Coach's point, the reason why JT and Trocheck were out there was because of the faceoffs. I don't know if they exactly played that whole series the right way. I think Brock Nelson had a lot to do with the turnover and the sequence of events there. But, sometimes you just got to tip your cap and it's just not going to go your way, especially when it's 6-on-5.
I think the fact that you might not see Robertson or Caulfield, or maybe they should be there instead of Connor. You got to think about. I think in the long run, the GM and the coaches were thinking about playing Canada, and when you have a guy like Cirelli and Tom Wilson, you have to have answers for that.
Yeah,
to me, you know what I'm saying. Look at their defensive core. Quinn Hughes. If Tom Wilson goes in on Quinn Hughes behind the net, someone's got to be there. You have Brady Tkachuk. Don't get me wrong, Matthew Tkachuk, but you got to have that grit when you're playing Canada, because that's how Canada picked their team. Not half grit, but they have a lot of grit mixed in. So you got to be careful. So maybe you may be right, you may be wrong. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of questions if they don't succeed. We'll see what happens. If they win, it's going to be the right choice, like everything else, right?
That's what EJ Raddick. That's what EJ Raddick said. Yeah, that's what EJ said. He's like, if you win, you did it right. If you lose, everyone's questioning if you picked the right team.
The good part, Hunter, is what EJ said when we confronted him about. We didn't confront him. We asked him his opinion on Adam Fox not making it and certain other guys, and he said, going back to the 90s, we barely had 6 defensemen from the U.S. of that skill. Now we have
12, whatever,
14, 16 guys that they could pick from. And the same thing with the forwards. It's that hard of a decision,
Yeah, I think with this roster of my lifetime, this is the best USA roster of my lifetime. And we've come a long way over the last, decade, 12 years. I mean, you go back to that 2014 team, not even close, even the 2016 World Cup team, which I had a lot of problems with because I felt they just brought way too much sandpaper. I mean, they left Phil Kessel at home for weird reason. You saw that tweet, obviously, and I felt that was a very good tweet from Phil. Of course, he's coming off that Stanley Cup with the Penguins. I definitely am willing to eat crow if the U.S. does win this. And obviously, I'm still rooting for my country. I wouldn't not root against.
No, we're talking, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. I just felt that, there's 11 forwards here. I'm like, yeah, you all 100%. The defensive group, I love basically all of it. I would have had Adam Fox if he were healthy. I think he is supremely underrated by a lot of people around the league that just don't value him as much as, people should. The goaltenders are great. It's really just, the nit and gritty for those final, 2-ish spots. Like that's, I think, what I've had, an issue with. And I think that just goes back to other teams where it's like they've come up a goal short against Canada a couple of times. And my logic is I just don't want that to happen again. Cause I felt like if they had lost today, I probably would have been on here saying like, well, like another time where you only score 1 goal in a elimination game against a good team. Now they still have to play the next, hopefully 2 games here and hopefully win gold. But that's just always been my thinking with, building the roster, at least for me.
And you have to go back to, I don't know if I read it or heard it, but I believe in the 4 Nations, they lost because of a face-off.
It was off the face-off, yeah.
It was off a face-off play.
Some misassignments in their own end.
So I think that's why the Trocheck pick and possibly the JT Miller pick were there for a battle on the face-off. I'm not going to blame that tying goal. It was a 6-on-5, and you have Carlson, Zibanejad, Forsberg. You got guys out there that can move the puck quick.
Every time
Nylander,
I tighten up a little bit.
Yeah, you have some highly skilled hockey players out there. So to blame it on one guy, maybe Trocheck shouldn't have been out there because he's a little slow on his feet. But I don't think his effort was.
Hunter's the least of our worries complaining about Trocheck because we have our own fan base doing the same thing, wondering why our own players are going to play for Team USA and not rooting for them is beyond me. But anyway, so Hunter, you weren't able to join us. Obviously, we just met, but Nick kind of wasn't really expecting this from the Penguins, getting back over into North America here and focusing on the Penguins. He wasn't really too keen on the season or didn't really have high hopes. Thought they were going to be sellers. We even floated the question out of Crosby possibly getting traded at that time. And obviously those rumors have been pretty much put to bed. So what are your thoughts, I guess, going into the season first? Like, what was your prediction or what were your feelings? And then what are your feelings now halfway through? And like you said, pushing for a playoff spot.
Yeah, heading into this season, I never thought they would be a bottom 5 team. I kind of had them similar to last year where, that 6 to 12-ish range where, I don't think you're going to be bad enough to get McKenna, but I don't think you're going to be in the playoff race for most of the season. However, I, and along with basically everyone else in the fan base, local media, national media, have gotten this dead wrong. Dan Muse has pushed every single right button throughout the season. He should be getting Jack Adams consideration at the end of the year if he is able to pull this off and get this team into the playoffs. I'm not sure he's going to win it, but he should be getting some serious consideration. I think Kyle Dubas should get serious consideration for GM of the year for what he was able to do over the summer. He hit on basically, every single free agent signing, Parker Wotherspoon, Justin Brazeau, Anthony Mantha, just to name a few, bringing in Archer Shelovs. The Tristan Jarry trade continues to look really good with the way that Stuart Skinner has played outside of one really bad start on Long Island. Erik Karlsson has been rejuvenated this season. Sid's having another great year. Evgeny Malkin has been fantastic when healthy, and I think they need to sign him to a 1-year extension ASAP. It's obvious to me that he does not, he's not ready to retire just yet. The special teams have been great. The 5-on-5 metrics are also there. And, I was waiting a long time to really say that this team is good because, short samples can be fickle. They had that great start in October. I'm like, okay, let's see how we are next month. And I'm like, okay, right. They're still playing 5. But then you get into December and they have that really bad losing streak where you're just blowing 3-goal lead, 4-goal lead. You're blowing all these leads. And it's like, okay, the bottom might finally be falling out here. It looks like it might be curtains. Nope. They go on a 13-2 run since Christmas. They're now second place in the Metropolitan Division. I can't say enough about the way the coaching staff, the management, and every single player has played on the ice this year. And I keep saying this on the show, the nobody believes in us mentality, it doesn't work for someone like Kirby Smart at Georgia or Nick Saban at Alabama when you're supposed to be great every year winning a national championship. But it works in this situation because no one believed in them heading into the year. And when you get a team that has no expectations like this, they can be dangerous. And they are playing like a team that has literally nothing to lose. And it's been a lot of fun to watch every night. Dan Muse has put, such a breath of fresh air into this team. It's the most fun I've had watching this team probably since the 21-22 season when they lost to the Rangers in Game 7 in the overtime. It's been a little bit since I've had this much fun watching them. The metrics are at 5-on-5 are really good. Top 10 in scoring chances, top 10 expected goals, top 10 high danger chances. The defensive metrics are about league average overall. And that's saying something because at the beginning of the year, they were well below league average. They've gotten better defensively as the year has gone on. So this is a really good hockey team right now, and they have a legit shot at making the playoffs. I can't believe I'm saying both of those things going into March.
well, we can't believe it either.
To me, it goes back to in the beginning of the season when everybody was writing them off, including me. And Sidney Crosby goes, when they were asking him about the McKenna, and he goes, I'm coming to the rink to win every day.
Oh, yeah.
He goes, I don't even want to answer that question again this season. I remember hearing the interview. He says, let's just straighten this out right now. Do not ask me every game. I'm not going anywhere. I come to win every day. Yeah. And he freaking proved it. I mean, again, when he came into the league as a Ranger fan, I hated him. I thought he was a little crybaby about, the whole cliche thing. And most of the people did. And now I appreciate him and I listen and I watch and I'm like, it's just an amazing, amazing player in person and career.
Yeah, he's the heartbeat of this team. Such a great ambassador for the game, both on and off the ice. He's going to go down, at least for me, as a top 5 player of all time with everything that he has accomplished. And
without a doubt.
Yeah, with what hopefully he still has yet to accomplish. It would mean so much to get another playoff potential run here in Pittsburgh. It's felt like last few years we may not get that, just considering that Kyle Dubas has taken the team in a different direction. They're trying to rebuild on the fly, doing this as quickly as possible. They've sold on the last couple of deadlines. I don't think that's going to be the case here unless they just full on collapse or God forbid Crosby's out for the year, which again, I don't really want to speculate too much on that. We're going to wait for the diagnosis on Thursday. Just hope it's nothing too serious considering the year that he has had. But yeah, he said going into the year, tanking, like that's not the game I know. And again, when you get a team together that, it's like us against the world, sometimes a season like this can happen. And, we have enough of a sample size to say that this is a good team. Now, whether they make the playoffs, that's still to be determined. Their March schedule is a gauntlet. They have Carolina 3 times, Boston a couple more times, Vegas twice. They play Colorado in there. Buffalo is in there, the Islanders, the Capitals a bit later in April.
Wow.
It is playoff team after playoff team after playoff team, basically every other day in the month of March. It's going to be, crazy. But as I keep saying on the show, you got to fight for your right to party. So we're going to find out just how good they are once March gets underway.
To just to go back to the Sidney Crosby thing, because I think he deserves it. Here's a guy. When was his first year in the league?
0506.
Okay, so he comes in as the young superstar, the fast kid, the skilled kid, and for over 20 years, he stays with all these young guys with all this skill, and he's still over a point per game player.
Yep.
At almost 40 years old. It just shows you the dedication and the hockey knowledge, and it's just, to me, it's amazing to watch, to see that over a 20-year period, because not many players could do that and be that successful still.
That's
you
what
could do it. You could play the 20 years, but
right.
The points wane. Everything declines.
Yeah, even Gretzky towards the end, what was he? He had like 40 points with the Rangers or whatever. It's like,
yeah,
it's for
the game catches up with him, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, so like he got up to here and then just stayed constant for 20 years.
That to me is, I'm going to back you up and say top 5 ever.
Easily.
That's that to me is the big reason.
Yeah,
the Stanley Cups and all the the points and everything. But that, to me, to do that at this level consistently at his age is incredible. So kudos to you guys.
Yeah,
I can't wait for him to retire personally, but
no, I mean, honestly, that's going to be a sad day when he hangs him up. I mean, it's been a long time of watching and appreciating him. I mean, like Coach said, I felt the same way in the beginning. I was in college, and watching him like whine to the refs and all that stuff is a completely different player than what he is now. And yeah, I mean, he's the face of the league, face of Team Canada, face of the Penguins, you name it, So I don't wish anything bad on him. I hope he didn't get injured seriously. I mean, if he's going to be able to play, I'm sure he'll be out there in the semifinal game. So we'll find out soon. So yeah, I mean, other than that, Hunter, I mean, where do you think the Penguins go from here? I mean, obviously they're not going to be sellers at the deadline. I mean, do you think they're going to be buyers? Are there any rumors floating around out there of someone they might target or get?
As of right now, I do believe they will do a soft buy. I think you kind of have to reward the team for the year that they've had. I'm sure they're going to get calls on some of their UFAs. Anthony Mantha has 20 plus goals. I am sure teams are going to try their best to call Kyle Dubas about him and maybe see if they can try to overpay. But I just, what message are you sending the rest of the team if you're trading him? I think some of the players are going to get a bit upset. Now, if they collapse in that, final week and a half, I think the conversation's a bit different, but I think they're going to do a soft buy. I would look at the back end, right or left shot. A left shot is more of a long-term option. They're still looking for those young, young to mid-20s players. Like Kyle Dubas keeps saying that every time he talks to the media, we're always trying to find young players that we can bring in here that, maybe aren't working on their respective teams, just like they do with Igor Chinakhov, who is lighting the league on fire with the Penguins on Evgeny Malkin's line with Tommy Novak. But they're looking for, players like that on the back end. Left side is more long-term. Right side, I think, is more short-term. Maybe someone on the bottom pair, for example. Carlson, he's going to be manning the top pair. Letang, it looks like, is ready to go coming off his fractured foot. Thought he was going to be out for another week coming off the Olympic break, but he practiced fully. I was there on Tuesday. Looked totally fine. Was paired with Brett Kulak. He's going to be good to go for next week. He'll be back in the lineup, I assume, on Thursday against the Devils, and then they'll play the Rangers, of course, next Saturday, that final meeting at the Garden for the season. So I think a defenseman is probably what we're looking for. The big question will be what they do this summer, because I think they could potentially go big game hunting for a younger player that could really speed this thing up a little bit. And what I like to say, you start mobilizing and getting going.
So yeah, well, I mean, I love Sid, but he's only got a couple more years. You got to get that kind of replacement for him if you're going to keep the train going.
Yeah, like it's hard because, like, usually like the where you find those players at the top of the draft, they're not going to be there this year, of course.
No, I know.
Yeah, like
no, I mean in a trade possibly or something like that.
Yeah, like say for example, Jason Robertson is available. Say the Stars can't sign him. I think the Penguins would be all over the Stars trying to get that done. Now, I think it has to be on the Penguins' terms. I don't think, the Stars will ask for the sun and the moon in that type of situation, and they should, because Robertson is one of my favorite players to watch in the league. But, that type of move has to be on Kyle Dubas' terms. It can't be on Jim Nill's terms. So we'll see. But I think like that's the type of player, like younger player, that they're going to want to try to go after during the offseason.
He's the character player that would fit in as far as his attitude and his team ethic.
So it seems like, I mean, regardless of how this season shakes out, the Penguins aren't going to tear it down to the studs. It's going to be more, I can't believe I'm saying this, more of a retool more than a retool than a rebuild, right? So,
yeah,
I mean,
they're not
you don't foresee them getting, I mean, Malkin's not going anywhere. I mean, technically, like Letang, even like Carlson, you mentioned him before. I mean, I've always been anti-Carlson, even when he was on the Senators, but I mean, I guess he's even turned it around defensively a little bit for you guys this year.
He's having, I think, his best year as a Penguin. I think with Carlson, and there's definitely a subsection of Penguins fans out there that have not liked his tenure, and I've understood it to a T. Like his first couple of years weren't what a lot of us were expecting, but throughout the year, he's had a couple pointed comments towards the former coaching staff about how it kind of hinted that he was maybe misused a little bit, and he's playing on the PK a bit more this year, and I think he's playing more free under Dan Muse, and I think he's really been appreciative of that. He's been really good all year. I've really been a big fan of the way that he has played, and even last year, offensively, I felt he was still good. It was defensively he was giving a lot more of it back. This year, you're not seeing nearly enough of like those aggressive pinches that you would see under Sullivan when he was still the head coach. This year, again, like everything has just really flowed with him. But no, as to your original question, no, I don't think you're going to see a big sell-off at the deadline again. Maybe in the summer you could see, a veteran or two, get moved again for a package for a younger player coming in. But no, they're not tearing this down to the studs. They're going to try to, rebuild this thing as quickly as possible. Again, I don't think it's, as much of a retool as it is. They're rebuilding on the fly as quick as possible, but they're not deviating from their plan. Like, yeah, they're exceeding expectations, but they're not just going to go out there, trade a first at the deadline for no reason. That's not where they're at right now in terms of their rebuild. I think, their more aggressive moves will come over the summer, and they're just,
that's more what I meant.
Yeah, trying to bring in more younger players, stockpile future assets, all that good stuff.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, I guess like with Sidney Crosby as your captain or at like whatever, you're never going to rebuild, right? I mean, that would just be pointless, especially if he's choosing to stick around. And coach has said it a million times. I mean, with him in the lineup, they're always going to be competitive. I mean, he just touched on it now. I mean, what player in the league wouldn't be inspired to play under Crosby? No matter what the skill level is, you're going to go out there and give 100%. Yeah. And hockey's a weird game. That's how the Penguins, are surprising everybody, right? Just going out there, giving 100%, and everything's clicking. We saw it with the Rangers 2 years ago. I mean, their roster wasn't anything special, but everything clicked, and they had a magical season, so it just happens sometimes.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. It's been magical this season, and I think the arena deserves to be fully packed for this March Gauntlet that's coming up. And I know that's been a small issue this year. Ticket prices have gone up. I know everyone was watching the Steelers and all that do their thing, but no excuse now. Like, I want the fans to really come out and show their support for this year. I think a lot of the fan base just wasn't expecting much, obviously, as I've said a couple of times, but I really want the arena packed here down the stretch, and hopefully we get to see some playoff hockey. It's been a while. It's been a little while here.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this has kind of been like a Crosby episode, but how many more years do you think he has left? And do you think we'll see him in the Olympics in 4 years?
I'll go 3 right now, but I won't underestimate him. If he wants to play at the Olympics in 4 years, I think he will do it. So, we'll see.
Yeah. Coach, you got anything for Hunter?
No, that's good. Excellent conversation. Nice
cool. Yeah. I mean, before I let you go, I got to ask you what your thoughts on the Rangers. I mean, were you happy to see Sullivan go, or like, do you feel like it was time, or how do you feel about that?
I felt it was time. Yes. Like it reminds me a lot of the Steelers situation with Mike Tomlin when he resigned earlier this year. Sometimes the message just goes stale to me, and I think a new voice is needed. And, I will forever say, I think Mike Sullivan is the best coach in Penguins history. I will put a stamp on that, but it was it was time. Like, you missed the playoffs a few straight seasons. I felt like, you've seen a few pointed comments from other players, not even just Erik Karlsson, about the former coaching staff throughout the season, where I'm like, okay, yeah, it felt like it was time for the organization to go in a different direction. And they did that. And I felt it was the right call. I didn't think it was actually going to happen. I felt that Sullivan was still going to be the coach for this year after the season. And he himself said as such after the season ended. Kyle Dubas felt differently. And he even said to the media that he had been thinking about this during the season when he saw the way the team was playing, not responding, and all that. So felt it was definitely the right call. And again, I'm very happy with the way that Muse is doing right now. As for Sully himself, in my opinion, I don't think he knew what he was signing up for when he took this Rangers job. I felt he should have taken a year off and done television and then kind of got his pick of the crop from other jobs. I think he just acted a bit too quickly, and now he's kind of in a very similar situation to where the Penguins were last year, where now he's on a team that is also kind of waving the white flag, rebuilt like the Penguins last year. They waved the white flag, of course. They were going through this process of rebuilding on the fly. Now the Rangers are doing that here. I just felt he should have waited, in my opinion. As for, the team in general, some people may disagree with me, and that's fine. I think the longer that Chris Drury is your GM, I think the better it is for the rest of the Metropolitan Division. I hope that's not too controversial on your show. I'm sorry if it is.
No, they're yelling fire Drury. They're cheering that every game we're at.
I've seen that. The Penguin, the same thing was happening when Ron Hextall was the GM here. You saw all the fire Hextall chants. I just don't think he has a set plan. I don't think he really knows what he's doing. I could be dead wrong on that. Would love to eat crow. When I look at his overall tenure there.
Lie.
What'd you say?
You wouldn't love to eat crow. You would want the Rangers. It's okay.
Only a little bit. I think he's out of his depth. And I just don't know if I don't know if he's the one that can really lead them out of this. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, no, I mean, like we are Chris Drury defenders on this show. I mean, but Coach and I, we try to find the positives in the situation. Right. We try to look at it from a different perspective than the casual fan and blah, 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 blah. But it's getting to the point where, like you said, like they got to figure out something. But I'm not exactly going to give up on it. I think it's kind of everyone was chirping about the Panarin trade and getting what's his name, Greentree back.
Yeah.
But like we said that before, it's like you got to find with Siobhan, you got to find the players with the right attitudes to come in and hopefully lead this team in a different direction. It hasn't exactly turned out the way we wanted with JT Miller, but maybe after the Olympics, he comes back a little rejuvenated or maybe he takes the rest of the season off and gets healthy and then comes back flying next season, So, I mean, like I said, I'm not going to give up. Doesn't seem like he's going anywhere. So I think it's silly for the fans to even chant the fire Drury because there's nothing we could do about it. So I guess the only thing you could do is hope, and we'll see what happens. But I think the biggest thing is, like everyone says, like all the development and this, that, and the other. He's also done a good job developing certain players, Cooley, Laba, Robertson, the list kind of goes on. And a lot of those draft picks that stand out that didn't turn out weren't necessarily his draft picks. So there are a lot of different things that certain people don't really understand. But it's starting to get to that point where we're hearing things a little bit behind the scenes too about him that we don't necessarily agree with. So we'll see what happens, I guess, lack of a better word. But I believe in Sullivan, especially as Team USA's coach. I believe in his message. So does Coach Ed over there. And we actually have our Sullivan sweat equity shirts. I'm not sure if you thought that before, but yeah, we made these this year. And yeah, we'll see what happens, I guess.
Yeah, I like those shirts. We had a Pittsburgh clothing company here when he led the Penguins to back-to-back cups. It was just a picture of his face and just Sully right underneath it. It was awesome.
Yeah. I think this season's a weird season too. The last thing I'll say on that is like with the Olympics and everything, it's like they're humans. Like, I'm sorry, but the Rangers aren't Sullivan's number one priority right now. I hate to break it to you, but he's been thinking about Team USA all year. JT Miller has been the same, Trocheck, all these guys, so we'll see what happens next year. If next year goes to shit, then we're definitely singing a different tune, right, Coach?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we'll give him that little bit of an excuse and the Panarin distraction, but we'll see what happens. I'm sick of these hiring a coach and firing him the next season. I mean, you gotta, it's like a play. You talk about developing a play. You got to develop a coach with his team and his system. You can't just give the guy a season and a half and,
Yeah. I think that's what they got to do is give them a little bit of a runway and build the team the right way and not rush things in a New York minute, if you will. I think that's the biggest problem is we demand quick results as fans, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon either. So we'll see. But Hunter, thank you so much for coming on and taking Nick's place this year or this mid-season episode. And like I said, next time we'll have all you guys on, or we'd love to have you back on in maybe before the end of the season, around the trade deadline or something, and we'll check back in with you and we'll see what's going on. And yeah, you mentioned that the Rangers are playing the Penguins at the Garden. You said the 28th, I think, right?
Yep, next Saturday.
Yeah.
Are you going up or no?
No, not for that one. I'm going to get to some games here in March. I want to really be there for the playoff push. There's been a couple games that I've been to. I know they didn't make the playoffs the last couple of years, but there've been a few games I've been to where, like, you can tell the playoff crowd is coming out. Like, a lot more of the diehards are coming out. Like, the crowds are getting better. That's what I'm here for. And I haven't been to a playoff game here yet, so that's what I'm hoping for.
Nice. Good luck with that.
Well, yeah, thank you so much, Hunter. You did a great job. A lot of good insight. I could tell you record every day, so because you got a lot to say and you back up your words. You articulate very well. So thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to having you back on. And good luck with everything. Fans, catch them on Locked On Penguins podcast on YouTube and all socials. And anything else you want to plug? I cut you off there. Sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. Thank you guys so much for bringing me on. I really appreciate it. I'm down to come on anytime. If you want to do the Finney Stones with Nick and me, we can both make that happen, I'm sure. But yeah, just appreciate you guys bringing me on. I really appreciate it. This was great.
For sure,
and
man.
Get ready to eat crow.
If Team USA wins gold, I will eat crow and I will apologize a little bit.
Well, we'll have you back on just for that. Thanks again, buddy.
Go Team USA.
Yes,
sir.
Go USA. Thank you, guys.
Looking forward to making more content with you. I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Later,
Take care, bud.
Another good guest added to the Rangers Egg crew, if you will.
Yeah, two great guests tonight for sure. That was nice.
He set the tone early by chirping JT and Trocheck. I just knew you were going to say something. I couldn't wait. I could not wait. But listen, like I said to him, it's what, that's what we're going to talk about. So let's just get into Coach's Corner. I'm going to play the commercial and we'll get right into it.
Hey everybody, Coach Ed here. I'm over here in the shop at Bella Italia, Marble Granite and Quartz, picking up my order for a nice little bathroom I'm doing. I've been a contractor almost as long as I'm a hockey coach. So listen to me when I tell you, when you want the quality work and craftsmanship, come and see the boys over at Bella. They serve all 5 boroughs, Westchester, Long Island, all the way out to Montauk. Whether you're a Ranger fan, Islander fan, Devils fan, they're going to take care of you no matter what. Make sure you give them a call, 516-561-1018. Let's go, Rangers.
All right, boys, bring it in.
All right, Coach. So, I kind of already teased the topic, or we spoke about it with Hunter for a few minutes already, but I wanted to discuss building the proper team. Obviously, there's been a lot of buzz around that Team USA left certain guys at home, shouldn't have brought certain guys with them. So I kind of just wanted to educate or discuss how you would build a team or how we would build our team and the importance of a role and accepting those roles, I should say, and all that good stuff. So, I mean, right off the bat, Hunter kind of said he felt that Cole Caulfield and a guy like Jason Robertson were left at home, and he was wondering why Trocheck and JT Miller were made the team or brought over to Milan. So what are your thoughts on that whole situation? I mean, obviously our loyal fans kind of already know, but wanted to make it an official subject.
I mean, first of all, they didn't get knocked out in the preliminary round. They went 3-0. They won handily. 3 games, and they beat Team Sweden, who was no pushover. You know, Canada went to overtime against, who was it? Czechia? How do you say the country?
Czechia.
Czechia. I mean, Canada with their squad with Connor McDavid and going down their lineup should be winning 10-0 every game. You know, it's a battle, and like I've been saying about the Rangers, we've been discussing for the whole season. Every team is good. These guys are all elite, world-class athletes, and they won. They're not losing. You know, it just comes to the same thing where everybody has to complain about something or question something. How is Cole Caulfield going to replace Vincent Trocheck? He's not the guy that's replacing Trocheck. Isn't he a winger?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe JT Miller, but JT Miller's a center and a winger, so you're taking that dynamic out of it.
Yep.
You know, you need to have those reliable guys, and yes, just like John Cooper took Cirelli for a reason. Sullivan's seeing Trocheck on a daily basis, and JT Miller, he's taking them for a reason. And obviously, Bill Guerin bought into it as well. I'm sure Bill Guerin had a say in it. So, you know, you have to build a team on reliability, on the compete level. JT Miller is going to dive and block that shot with his face if it means winning the gold medal. Is Cole Caulfield going to do that? I don't know him well enough.
I don't think
so. That's what it comes down to. That's how it comes down to me. Who's going to lay it out on the line? You want 20 players that are going to do that, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm not trying to take it away from Cole. He's just not that type of player. But I understand completely what you're saying is like if you're bringing along, I said it before, a guy like Kyle Connor, you got Jack Hughes. Who else? Another like flashy guy. I mean, that's probably Getzel, but he's a little bit. He could get in the corners a little bit more than the first.
Not size-wise, he's not there though.
Right? Yeah, but you know you get it. You got enough skill guys. You need those guys that are gonna dive in front of the shot. I mean, did they have the best shift at the end of the game there when Sweden tied it? Probably not. But like I said before, sometimes you just got to tip your cap. Sweden's got Nylander, Mika out there. You know, you go up in Rasmus Dahlin, you go up and down the list. They got some really good NHL players too. So anything that play can go any way. But then you mentioned later that I was going to text you guys, but the play was so fast. Trocheck wins that face-off and gets immediately off the ice. You know, Cole Caulfield or Robertson, they might be out there for overtime, but they're not there for the same role. Right?
Yeah.
Like if Sweden wins that faceoff, in overtime, possession means everything, right? I mean, I think that faceoff actually Trocheck, they won it and they brought it right out of the zone immediately. So they didn't even they didn't even try to put the pressure on. They brought it out of the zone so Trocheck can get off.
Yeah,
bring the skilled player on, and then if there's another whistle, Trocheck or JT Miller might come back on. Or Austin Matthews and Eichel are really good at faceoffs too. But that's what we keep saying on all of our shows is you have to be strong up the middle. The Team USA has Matthews, Eichel, Trocheck, Miller, and who am I missing?
I forget who
technically Hughes is a center, but who's playing center on the fourth line? Is it Miller right now?
I think it may be Miller.
But whatever. You know what I'm saying is like they have not only 4 solid centers, they have 5 or 6 where those faceoffs are going to come down to very important plays, especially in the semifinal game, and furthermore, hopefully in the gold medal game. And they need players out there that are going to be able to win those face-offs. A bad game in the dot or Eichel, whatever, you got other guys that could do it.
Yeah, and getting back to the choices, like there was not a controversy, discussion on the radio about Austin Matthews being named captain. They just felt that he was captain of 4 nations. He had some unfinished business. And then there was an interesting comment I heard as well during that discussion that Phil Esposito, his big quote is, one captain doesn't win the championship. You need 5 or 6 captain attitude guys.
Right.
So you have a Trocheck, you have a JT Miller, you have an Austin Matthews. You know, you go down that list. Quinn Hughes has been captain. You have guys that are doing that. One guy, other than Mark Messier, there's probably a few guys that pretty much can lead a team into battle alone. But on a general championship team, you need guys with that attitude. We said it to our kids for years, right? You have to play like you are the captain just because you're not named captain. That's how a team buys in, right? And Trocheck said it to Sullivan in his phone call. It's been noted. I'll do anything you need me to do. And that's the kind of attitude you need out of the 20 players.
Yeah, and that shot that Miller blocked at the end of the game, I mean, that almost took his arm off. I almost texted you guys saying, well, there goes Miller, the rest of Miller's season. But, hopefully.
And again, that play that Mika scored on, JT Miller, I watched the replay and I watched it. He had his stick to block the pass to go D to D. You can't cover every guy. He guessed that. It didn't happen. It's the defenseman's job to jump that pass going to Mika and reading that play. So it's not an easy situation.
And I personally thought Hellebuck should have had it. I mean, he did get a pad on it. He was a split second late getting across, but
it squeaked in on the post.
Right.
It was a perfect shot that could have just have easily hit the post or went wide. It was right there.
Yeah, we've seen Mika miss the net 150 times a game. No, but he's been on fire this year with his one-timer. I mean, you got to be happy for him. He's going to come back a little bit rejuvenated. We've already seen him have a really strong season. But I was happy for him. And I know it sucked to get the goal scored on us or on USA, but if it had to be anyone, I'm glad it was Meeks.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, getting back into like the role-playing situation, it's just very difficult to look at a team like that and look at the crop of players you have. I mean, I mentioned Adam Fox a few times this episode already. It just must be so hard to pick that team. And I think about the Shamrock days and coaching those teams and having 40 to 50 kids at tryouts, and you and I kind of like talking like, honestly, we can't go wrong. Like we're gonna cut this kid, and he's gonna probably might be the best kid on his team, his travel team or whatever, So I mean, I think back, give our fans a little bit of an insight on what your thought process was building a team like that when you have 40 or to 50 of like the best hockey players on Long Island almost.
Well, automatically, from what I've learned over the years, and I've been getting some criticism because some of my players are listening to the podcast and they're like, you never do that. You never do this. You never. I'm like, all right, well, you guys just aren't paying attention. Maybe you're tuning me out, but you want the guys that are going to, like Siobhan said about Zegras and how they're trying to get Michkov to do it. You want the guys that are committing off the ice.
Right.
That to me, that's what you want. If I was to build a team, I want to see the guys that are going to be in the weight room. I want to see the guys that are going to be on the bike. I want to see the guys that are going to show up early to practice. If you have the ability to pick out of, say, 50 top USA players in the country, in the NHL, I want to know those guys that are committed, that are going to block the shot, like I said before, when the game's on the line, and they're going to do whatever it takes. I mean, you're going to tell me at the Four Nations when JT Miller throws those gloves down, you don't want that guy on your team, no matter what?
It's crazy.
Come on. And that Brady Tkachuk story about the whole texting chain that he had with JT and Matt Tkachuk, thinking that he was just joking around, and then they realized that JT wasn't, that he was willing to do what it took to win. Come on, how do you not want that guy on your team? I want him sitting next to me on the bench. Yeah. So I go by the off ice, the attitude, the Team USA attitude, the whole thing. And the other thing I wanted to touch on again in that Rick Nash interview, which I thought was excellent, as being a scout, and I've been trying to tell kids this for 20 years, is what you're playing without the puck, what you're doing without the puck. I gave a nice lecture last night before practice. We lost a couple of games. We almost won. We have our goal scorers. We have our go-to guys when you need a goal. But the guys who win the game are the guys who don't score and are still effective, like we talked about before. Are you winning a face-off? Are you winning a board battle to get the puck out of the zone on a regular basis? Are you battling your wing on the face-off so we win the face-off? Those guys are the guys who win the game. They afford those skill guys to get the puck in their high-danger chances and win the game. And those are the things you got to look for. There's another little snippet on Instagram that I've seen this female basketball coach. They said, what do you look for when you're recruiting? She goes, I'm not going to the state championship game. I know what this girl's going to do in the state championship game. I'm going to the game where they're going to blow out the small town team by 40 points and what she's doing in that game. Is she on the bench when she's not playing, when the coach is giving someone else a chance? Is she pouting? Is she cheering on the team? Is she part of the team? Is she congratulating anybody for getting another 3-point shot? All those little things, their attitude when they're not in the limelight. How are they as a teammate? So those are the things, if I was able to build a team and I had the time to look into scouting and draft picks, that if I was Chris Jury, that's what I'm looking for. Playing away. Look, you're going to get if your number one pick is your number one pick, you want him to have some of those attributes, but you want him to have the skill. That's a number one pick. But when you're going through the second, third, fourth round, to me, that's what I'm looking for. That's how I'm building a team other than the number one center on the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We've talked about that a bunch on the recent episodes, and I just mentioned it before with Green Tree, and hopefully the direction that Drury's trying to go in. I think step one was getting JT Miller over here. Like I said, it hasn't really gone as planned so far, but it's only year one of hopefully a very long or longer career with the Rangers. And we'll see. I mean, that's the other thing too with the leadership. You touched on it before with Matthews. But you don't see like guys on Team USA. Like, is Larkin wearing a letter this tournament? I think he might have been at Four Nations, but I don't think he is on this one. But he's the captain of the Red Wings.
Yeah.
You know, you got Quinn Hughes, who was the captain of Vancouver. He doesn't even wear a letter from Minnesota right now, I don't think. They might have given him an A by now, but when he first came over, he wasn't wearing an A. But then you go over to Canada. You think Brad Marchand is complaining that he doesn't have a letter for that team, or
no way?
Any of those guys in that locker room? They're all leaders inside. I mean, sure, I'm sure Marchand would love to have his Team Canada sweater hanging in his office or wherever one day with the C on it, but he's still going to go into that locker room and act like a leader. There's no reason. I think we actually talked about it that maybe they should or they could take the C away from Matthews and it wouldn't be a big deal. But at the same time, what's the point of even stirring the feathers? What's the point of even giving the media something to talk about? You know, Matthews is playing phenomenally, I think. He's not going to go out there and score 70 goals like he did that one season, but he's playing an unbelievable 200-foot game. And he's not necessarily my style of captain or whatever. I prefer someone maybe more vocal and not lead by example, but that's just what he does. And then you got Matthew Tkachuk being vocal, and I'm sure Brady Tkachuk, maybe even JT Miller. There's a ton of leaders in that locker room that there's not enough letters to give around, unless you're the Rangers and you want to give out 45 assistant captain letters.
And again, if you're the type of captain that's going to complain about it, then that's not the captain I want on the team. Then you're not a true captain. You're not buying into the team concept that we need to play a tournament within a week and a half and be successful.
Exactly.
So they pick guys. I'm not saying Caulfield or Caulfield, however you say his name, and Robertson. I love Robertson. I spoke to him on our show a few times about how he's a complete player and how he doesn't cheat and the whole thing with Steve DeBoer quote. So I'm not going to take away from him. I'm not saying he couldn't help this team, but you don't want a captain that's going to complain, a player that's going to complain. Like, why is that Austin Matthews the captain? He's always getting it. You know, just play the game, get out there and play, and that's what these guys are doing.
Yeah,
you know, those are the guys you want, and so far so good. We'll see how it goes.
Well, like you said, they're winning, so I don't know. I mean, most of the complaints were before the tournament. We just haven't really been on. We haven't been on since the tournament started. So we'll see what the complaints are after. There hasn't really been much about Austin Matthews or anybody so far, but we'll see. To me, I think the Kyle Connor experiment is probably over. I think if anything, that's the mistake, bringing him maybe instead of Robertson or Caulfield.
Yeah, that I would agree.
Or Caulfield. But, you know, whatever. Like we said, if they win, they did it right. If they lose, there's always going to be question marks.
Before we cut it off, I got an interesting story about Sully when he was a player.
Well, speaking of EJ, real quick, he's been doing a recap after every single game.
Yeah, I've been watching it.
Oh, he's the best. He breaks down the entire game. Yeah, he's awesome. Shout out to EJ. What were you gonna say?
So they interviewed Mike Johnson. I don't know if everybody knows who Mike Johnson is. He's on NHL Network a lot.
Isn't he doing the? Isn't he one of the color guys?
No,
Or Mike, I'm confusing it with someone else.
No, Mike. You'll know him if you saw him on NHL
No, I
Network.
hear him on the network on the radio all the time.
He's a former #1 pick in the league. I don't know about first overall. I believe from Minnesota back in the day when they were the North Stars. So towards the end of his career, Sullivan's on the Coyotes. He's a third or fourth line center. Mike Johnson's towards the end of it. He's bouncing around the league, gets to the Coyotes. They put him on a line with Sullivan. And Sullivan's playing the game as a third, fourth line the way you're supposed to play, where he's dumping and chasing, killing the clock for the first line, the way that we always talk about. And they go in on a 3-on-2, and Mike Johnson has the puck and doesn't dump it in. So they get back to the bench, and Sullivan doesn't yell at him, but says to him, Johnny, you gotta dump that puck in. And Mike Johnson's like, Sully, we're allowed to score. It was a 3-on-2. We're allowed to score. I thought it was hysterical when he told that story. He obviously told it a little better than I did, but secondhand. But I just thought it was hysterical. But that's the kind of person Sullivan is. He wants the game played the way A, B, and C. You could see the way he talks, and I just thought that was a very interesting story.
No, that's great. That's funny. Yeah, I love. We talk about it all the time, but NHL Network radio, especially during the Olympics now, it has been great. They got obviously a lot of good guys talking about a lot of different subjects and bringing it. So yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up Coach's Corner. You have anything else to add?
No, that's it. Those notes. I had the Nash thing. I thought was a very interesting interview that he's involved back there. He was on the prospect segment on Sunday morning or Saturday morning.
You have any good quotes?
Talking about scouting.
You have any good quotes from Sully or anything? You gave us one before.
No, I haven't really been following the press conferences. Like I said, it's been a little hectic. I've been a little busy running around. It's our last weekend. Stony Brook goes into playoffs tomorrow, Friday night. I don't know if you're going to be heading home Friday night. We're playing at the Ice Hutch at 5:45.
Oh wow, it's an early game. I should be heading home tomorrow if all goes according to plan, but I'll keep you updated. I feel like we had a good quote from Sullivan that I texted in the chat, but I forgot what it was.
Brock Nelson is that other center that we were missing.
There you go.
Who's having a great tournament.
He's centering the fourth line, I think.
Yeah. Trocheck's actually listed as the 13th forward.
Yeah. Clayton Keller came in, and that's who I guess Connor came out for. So we'll see. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, fans, just keep an eye on those little things. I mean, if you're questioning why JT Miller or Trocheck are out on the ice in the last minute or minute and a half of the game, I mean, it's not because they're the best players on the ice. It's because they're probably the best players on the ice in the faceoff dot. Those faceoffs are very important. If Team Sweden wins one or two of those faceoffs in overtime, you really have no idea what could happen. You never know. It's all about possession in this game, especially in overtime. And that's why they're on the team. So.
It's so funny. It's so funny because one thing I learned a long time ago, and I always drill into my centers, if I call a timeout, what's the center's responsibility on the defensive faceoff? Stay with the center. And that guy let Dylan Larkin go. I forget who it was.
Yep.
Couldn't hold on to Dylan Larkin for 1 second, and he got the deflection.
Yep.
So
I think it was
Darlene. Goes to show you.
Well, Darlene's a defenseman, but yeah, the center should have had him from the start.
Yeah, he got the jump on him.
Yep. All right. Well, we got oh no, I lost it, but we have the Fantasy 150 from Mikey. So just give me a second to cue that up here. But before I play it, the Fantasy 150 is brought to you by Little Ed's Workshop. Coach Ed and I have been buzzing this season, and Lindsay selling a lot of jersey plaques and arena maps and things like that. The apples I had, apple ornaments, the stadium or what's it called? The seating chart cutouts and all that good stuff, coasters. So go over, check me out at little_eds.workshop on Instagram and shoot me a message if you have an idea for your man cave. We'd love to do it for you. And yeah, once we get up to 500 subscribers on YouTube, I'll be giving away a $200 gift certificate to the workshop, which goes a long way. So without further ado,
did you move any of those USA plaques on Sunday?
Well, we raffled off 2 of them.
Oh, you did?
At Borelli's, and the same couple won both of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So Sean gets a little anxious about that because he thinks that people might think we're rigging it for whatever reason. I'm like, dude, we're not just giving out these prizes to like our favorite people. Like, that's not how this works.
They have a ticket.
Yeah. So, and like everyone's watching us pick the ticket out. So like, whatever. It was just funny. So I had the blue jersey and the white jersey raffling it off, and the same woman won both of them.
Wow.
Yeah. She actually said her and her husband do a lot of charities and like raffles and donations and stuff. So she thinks that she might just turn it around and raffle it off again. But I told her to reach out to me. I'll be happy to make more of them for whatever charity they're doing and stuff like that. So
yeah, that'll get your name out there too.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, but it's a lot of fun doing that stuff. And as always, thank you for helping out. And Coach Ed's actually in the middle of renovating Lindsay and I's kitchen. So jack of all trades, Coach Ed and I, and got a lot going on as always, but we're still here for you guys covering the Rivalry Tour. So let's see what Mikey 150 has to say with a fantasy update this week with the Olympic break.
Welcome back to the Rangers Ed 150. We have made it to the Olympic break, so let's call this our mid-season fantasy update. First off, we're going to shout out some of the surprise performers this season, starting off with Darren Raddysh of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Since Victor Hedman went down, he has been quarterbacking that power play, and suffice it to say, he is having a Norris-caliber season. Through 73 games played last season, he had 6 goals, 31 assists, and 9 power play points. Compare that to 49 games played this year, 17 goals, 35 assists, and 20 power play points. So shout out to Darren Raddysh. Next up, we have Trevor Zegras. He's been a notorious problem child since being drafted by the Ducks, but it seems like he has straightened out and found a home in Philadelphia. Last season, he put up 12 goals, 20 assists, and 4 power play points through 57 games. Through a comparable 56 games played.
Let that buffer for a second.
This season, he has 20 goals, 29
Well, while we let that buffer, our fantasy hockey season is still underway. I haven't really logged on in a while, but Coach, how you doing in the fantasy?
I haven't logged on probably in 2 weeks, to be honest. We were down in Florida with that, and
well, we're on break right now, so you're not missing any lineup changes or anything. Luckily, I have a co-manager handling all that for us, but I don't even know what the standings are.
I might have to sign on. I might have to sign a conspirator next year.
That's it. That's what you need.
Just to make some moves.
And 18 power play points. Last up on the list, we have Mattias Samuelsson of the Buffalo Sabres. Last season, through 62 games played, he posted 4 goals, 10 assists, and only 1 power play point. Compare that to this season with 11 goals, 23 assists through 55 games, and complement that with 3 shorthanded points. On a team with a plethora of offensively gifted defensemen, Samuelsson has emerged as an unlikely offensive force for the Buffalo Sabres. Next up, we got to give the biggest rebound from last season, and
get internet up in Newfoundland.
There's only one name on the list, and that name is Elias Lindholm of the Buffalo.
It's probably my internet because I'm trying to play it through the hotel's internet from the file that Mikey sent me. So I apologize, fans, for this. But while we wait for that to buffer, maybe Mark can update us on the fantasy standings. Marky, what do you got?
What's going on, guys? Hanging around. Just hanging around.
How we doing backstage?
It's fun back here. You guys are having a hell of a show. The interviews were great. I absolutely got a really big chuckle when Coach called out the called out the guy that came from the Penguins and Trochi. That was a good one. Lit him
You
up.
like that, huh? You like that, huh, Mark? I wasn't even prepared for that.
Of course. I think life's experiences have made you prepared for that. Let's see. The league. Oh boy. You know what? I think you brought me on to make fun of me.
No, I did not. I have no idea.
I am dead last.
What?
I gotta be right. I gotta be right there, Mark. I gotta be right with you.
I'm dead last. Yeah. The
Well,
Massholes are number 1, Little Ed's Workshop. Number 2, Mrs.
Let's
150
go.
Winners.
Mikey
Number
produces,
3,
managing the team.
Double Pits to Shesty. Number 4, Cousin Ed's Floppers. Number 5, Devil State of Mind. Number 6, Mean Machine. Number 7, It's Miller Time in 8th place. Coach Ed in 9th place. Lucarelli Law in 10th. Gold Diggers in 11th. And dead last, like our Rangers, me.
Wow. Wow. Well, like the season, there's a lot of surprises on that list. Massholes, I believe, is either Mikey 150 or it's Mrs. 150, Mikey's wife, who is with child right now. So she's multitasking very well, I see. So I think we just have our work cut out for us with these fantasy 150 professionals. So let's see if we have the video buffered so he can give us some tips.
Boston Bruins. He was moved from the Vancouver Canucks to the Bruins last season, signed a $7 million contract, and suffice it to say he was barely a fourth-line player. He put up 11 goals, 27 assists, and 17 points through 82 games played last season. Compare that to this season with 44 games played, 17 goals, 30 assists, and 14 power play points. Next up, we have to run through the biggest disappointments of the season, and there are 2 names on this list. First up, we have Jordan Kyrou. Last season put up 36 goals, 34 assists, and 17 power play points through 82 games played. This season, he has put up a measly 13 goals, 19 assists, and 11 power play points through 47 games. But even this is a bit misleading because he finally woke up about 5 games before the All-Star break. And if you just count those games, through 42 games played, he had only posted 8 goals and 12 assists, which is abysmal for a player that put up 36 and 34 last season. Last on this list, we have to shout out Kent Johnson of the Columbus Blue Jackets. Last season, he put up 24 goals, 33 assists, and 15 power play points through 68 games played. Compare that to this season, where he's got 55 games played, 6 goals, 12 assists, and only 2 power play points. So get it together, Kent Johnson. That's all we got for you this week, folks. So tune in for our next episode of the Rangers Ed 150.
Awesome. Well, thank you,
Mikey,
Mike.
doing a great job as well, as usual,
Yeah.
I should say.
Yeah, as always. It's been a little bit. Partially my fault. I haven't reminded him to give us one. It's been a little bit hectic with the season so far, but hopefully we'll get back into it. And we might even bring a full Fantasy 150 podcast or show to the network. We'll see if Mr. and Mrs. 150 have time with their child coming into the world. So, Mark, I mean, you touched on a little bit. I wanted to bring you on as a surprise at the end just to see what your thoughts on the Olympics so far and what you thought of the episode, and if you wanted to touch on anything we talked about.
Just Olympics have been great. It's been fun to watch. It's nice to watch successful hockey. It's nice to watch.
Been a while. It's been a while.
You know what I was telling Kim? I was like, why didn't we go to Milan? Because I'm not going to France in 2030. So Milan probably would have been the strong call. But it's been a lot of fun. I've watched a lot of hockey, and I think you guys have said this. Even the teams that lost today, like these are all Olympians. They're the best of the best in the world. So just because a team like Germany got beat up today, and we're about to play that team, they have really great hockey players. So
I saw the roster you sent us. I know you probably meant to send it when we were talking about it, but I mean, like I was saying to you, Coach, before, there's maybe 2 or 3 names on here that I even recognize.
Yeah,
and just like we were saying, like you build the right team, you bring the right guys. Like Herb Brooks said, I'm not looking to build the best team, I'm looking to build the right team, right? So I mean, it's just, to me, it's crazy. I mean, Simone Nemec, Slavkovsky, Tatar. I mean, That's the only three
You got-
names I even recognize.
You got to think this is a tryout for a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were saying that
And
about
they want
the
to get. They
Italian
want to
goalie.
get to the end. They want to get to the NHL, and they want to. They're out to prove
Showcase.
they could. If they could knock Team USA out, you don't think the coach is looking at this and scouts are watching it? Of course.
I mean,
I
the
think-
Rangers could use some help. Sign some of these guys.
Well, it's we were talking to the chat before, and that was the quote that was said before. The coach of Canada's coach, like I just said, they're all Olympians, and nobody here is looking just to go home. Everybody's here to play to win a gold. Everybody's here to play to win a medal. So, and they're all Olympians, so they're supposed to be here. It's been a lot of fun to watch, and I think we're getting a lot of fun hockey in the next couple of days. Also, obviously, honorable mention the gold game tomorrow for the women. That's gonna be a lot of fun to watch. They've been saying, not even out of the men, that the women, this women's team has been from America has been the best team in the whole tournament.
It's unbelievable.
Well,
5 shutouts in a row or 4 shutouts in a row.
Their goal differential is insane.
It's crazy.
It's been pretty wild to watch.
Always playing phenomenal, but their defensemen or defense women are unbelievable. They're just all over the place. But yeah, good for them. Hopefully they bring home the gold again. Yeah, what else? What else, guys? Pretty much
I'm
wrap
happy
it up.
Troche and Miller. I know, like you guys said, I'm sorry, Robertson didn't make the team. I'm sorry, Cole Caulfield didn't make the team. But like you said, you're looking for that team that, the right pieces. And I don't think Sully had the final say. So these guys were put on the team for a reason. So, you take a look at the grit that they have and the toughness. They bring that to our team. But, you see it on a national level now. That's the kind of grit and toughness that Troche and JT have. I hope that they come back refreshed and they bring that mindset for the last 20 or so games of the season.
I'd like to find out. Got to ask EJ if he knows next time. If I see him at the Garden, I'd like to find out, what is the process? Does Bill Guerin have a committee with the coaches and they have a 6 or 8 person? What do you think of it? Do they rate them? Do they talk? You know what I mean? I'd love to be that, in the draft. It's like a draft room, right?
The war room.
They have the draft room, the war room. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it must be super intense. And that's what I was going to bring up before. It's you think that they're not, you think they're just trying to say, all right, we just got to win. No, they're taking every single scenario possible. What if we get to goal? What if we get to the semifinal game or quarterfinal game against Sweden and we go into overtime? Who do we need? You know what I mean? These are the conversations that they're having. They're not just saying, let's just bring Caulfield, Robertson, Kyle Connor. We're just going to score 1 million goals and we're just going to blow everyone out. No, that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
They have to expect the worst in a way,
And you got to think about who's successful in shootouts. How we're going to do in shootouts.
Well, I don't think they're doing shootouts, thankfully, this one. I think they're only doing the overtime, right? If I'm not mistaken.
No, it was going to be a shootout after 10 minutes today.
It's 3-on-3. It's 3-on-3 for 10 minutes, and then I believe it's a shootout.
Maybe the gold medal game, though, then they're not doing it.
I hope it's not decided by a shootout.
I'm pretty sure they said on Chicklets that they got rid of the shootout maybe for the semifinals in the gold, but whatever. Maybe. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, but either way, yeah, they should never be decided on a shootout. But yeah, good episode, guys. I'm really looking forward to watching some more hockey. Maybe we'll be able to watch the game together on Friday, and then if they make it to the gold medal game, I know Borelli's is having another watch party with Hockey Night in New York on Sunday, bright and early at 8 a.m. So
nice.
We'll see what happens.
I'll do that for sure.
Kegs and eggs.
That'll be fun. So we can go whether they make it or not. I'm pretty sure they're doing the event no matter what. So let's go Team USA. Love you guys. Let's go Rangers when they get back. I know they're practicing too. I think they got back on the ice.
They have been.
Yep. Let's go Rangers. And Mark.
Let's go Rangers, Ed.